HOA Karen tried to stop me with a $2,000 fine. It's my own lake, my own rules. But little did they know, their greed was about to backfire. What started as a simple swim turned into a financial nightmare for them. Watch as I turn the tables and drain their wallet. The lake shimmered like polished glass under the afternoon sun. A light breeze rippled across its surface, carrying the sweet scent of pine and summer heat. This wasn't just any lake, it was mine. I bought this land years ago, carved out my little piece of heaven away from the chaos of city life. No noise, no drama, just water, trees, and peace. At least that's what I thought. Until the HOA slithered into my life, they came under the guise of community improvement. The new developments cropped up along the opposite, bang cookie-cutter mansions with soulless symmetry, their pristine lawns bleeding into my property, lines like a slow infection. And then came the meetings, the rules, the endless letters with bold red headers, mandatory compliance required. I didn't care for their dramnontal the morning it landed on my doorstep. A bright orange envelope, bold black letters, violation notice. My stomach tightened as I tore it open. And there it was, $2,000 fine for unauthorized swimming in community lake. I laughed. Loud. The sound bounced off the still water like mockery. Unauthorized swimming in my lake, but my amusement evaporated as the anger kicked in. My fists trembled around the paper. The audacity. They were trying to police me on my land. And I knew exactly who was behind this, Karen. HOA president. Middle-aged, sharp bob haircut. Lipstick the color of spilled wine. She walked like she owned the world and treated every resident like a toddler breaking the rules. We'd had words before mostly about property lines, noise, and her obsessive rulebook. But this was war. I stormed into the HOA meeting that evening. Karen sat at the head of the table like some queen ruling her petty kingdom, flanked by her loyal lapdogs. She didn't even flinch when I slapped the fine notice in front of her. "What the hell is this?" I demanded. Karen's lips curled into a smug smile. "Community rules, dear. No swimming without HOA approval." "HOA approval?" I hissed. "For my lake?" She leaned back in her chair, savoring every second. "Technically, once you agreed to the community guidelines, the lake became a shared amenity. You signed, remember?" Her voice dripped with satisfaction. And for a second, my chest tightened, because she was right. Buried in the contract, in the legal jargon, I'd unknowingly allowed the HOA certain rights. Karen's smirk widened. "Dugged. So, pay the fine or face legal action?" I didn't say another word. I just stared at her, my mind boiling with rage and something sharper resolve. If they wanted to play by the book, then I'd write the ending myself. And trust me, it wouldn't be pretty. This wasn't about a fine anymore. It was about power. Karen had just picked a fight she couldn't win. Asterisk, I didn't sleep that night. Sat on my porch, staring at the moonlight dancing on the lake they claimed wasn't mine anymore. My fists clenched around a glass of whiskey as plans began to stitch themselves together in the back of my mind. Karen thought she was clever. She thought that fine would humiliate me, break me, make me bow to her HOA throne like everyone else. But I wasn't like the others. They might live in fear of her passive-aggressive letters and pointless bylaws, but me? I'd burn the entire HOA rulebook before I let her win. The next morning, I went digging. I spent hours combing through HOA. Financial reports, public documents that most homeowners never bothered to read, but I did. And what I found was pure gold. The HOA was bleeding money. Lavish landscaping projects, ridiculous community events, and Karen's obsession with upgrades had drained their reserve fund to a thread. They were living on the edge, one bad financial hit away from collapse. And that's when the idea hit me like a lightning strike. If they want to drain my wallet, I'll drain theirs first. I drafted a formal proposal for a lakefront safety upgrade. According to HOA bylaws, any member could propose changes if framed as a safety measure. And guess what? Safety concerns couldn't be ignored, had to be addressed immediately. So I crafted a masterpiece. New fencing around the lake. Underwater lighting for night visibility, lifeguard equipment stations, weekly water quality tests, works. It looked like concern, but really? It was a financial nuke. At the next HOA meeting, I walked in calm, collected. Karen smirked like she already had me beaten. She had no idea the game had just changed. I slid the proposal across the table. "I've been thinking about safety," I said smoothly, my tone dripping with fake sincerity. "Wouldn't want anyone to get hurt in our community lake." Karen's eyes sparkled with suspicion. "But the others, sir?" They lapped it up like cream. "Safety cells. Liability scares." Within 20 minutes, the board approved the motion, unanimously. The budget. A cool $5,000 increase in HOA fees per household. Payable immediately. Karen's smile faltered when she read the numbers. Her perfect little lips trembled for just a second, and in that second I knew. I'd landed the first blow, but I wasn't done, not by a long shot. As the meeting wrapped up, I leaned close to her ear, so only she could hear. "You wanted a lake, Karen? Congratulations, it's going to cost you everything." Her face turned pale. Mine lit with satisfaction. Because the storm was just beginning, and I was the one calling the thunder. By the time the new fees hit the community, Karen's kingdom was cracking like glass under pressure. Word spread fast to mails, group texts, furious posts on the HOA forum. $5,000? Are they out of their minds? This is robbery. I'm calling a lawyer. One by one, the neighbors turned their pitchforks toward Karen. She tried to keep control. Hosting emergency Zoom meetings, plastering mandatory safety compliance notices across the neighborhood, but no amount of spin could erase the truth. She'd voted for it. She'd signed the proposal. The woman who fined me, $2,000 for swimming, was now the face of a financial apocalypse. I watched from my porch, coffee in hand, as chaos consumed her empire. Her on-Perfect lawn, the pride of the neighborhood, was now littered with angry letters and HOA resignation demands. Every day she looked a little more unhinged, air frizzed, smile forced, voice cracking like brittle ice. But Karen wasn't the type two-fold. Nosh came at me harder. First, it was the petty stuff. Anonymous complaints to the city about unauthorized structures on my property. Surprise inspections for supposed code violations. A notice demanding I remove my boat because it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. Cute moves, Karen. Real cute. But here's the thing about poking a beer. You'd better hope it doesn't wake up, so I pushed back. Every letter she sent. Lawyered. Up and sent one, twice as thick. Every inspection. I filmed the inspectors and made them sign trespass disclaimers. I buried her in paperwork so deep, she needed a shovel to breathe. Still, Karen played dirty. Out. One night around 11 p.m., I spotted headlights creeping past my driveway, slowing by the lake. I grabbed my phone and hit record. There she was, HOA royalty. Herself leaning out of her SUV with a camera, snapping pictures of my dock like some bargain bin spy. I stepped out into the dark. Need a better angle, Karen? My voice sliced through the night like a blade. She jumped, fumbling her phone. I'm ensuring compliance. I walked closer, slow and deliberate, until the glow of my porch light hit her face. You're trespassing. Her eyes darted, her throat bobbing as she swallowed hard. For the first time, she looked small, cornered. But behind those eyes, I saw something dangerous, a flicker of desperation and desperation. That's when people make their biggest mistakes. Karen slammed her SUV door and sped off into the night. Taillights burning like devil eyes. I knew then, this wasn't over. Not by a mile. In fact, the real war was about to begin. Because Karen wasn't just fighting for control anymore. She was fighting for survival and me. I was ready to end this. Game once and for all. Asterisk. Karen didn't show her face for a few days after that midnight drive-by. But I knew silence didn't mean surrender, it meant she was plotting. And I was right. Friday night, I came home to a letter taped to my door, stamped in bold red. Notice. Of non-compliance, immediate action required apparently. According to Karen, my lake was now classified as a shared community water feature. required a $10,000 HOA compliance bond to remain within standards. She really thought she could take my lake. That was the moment I decided to go nuclear, see what Karen didn't know. I'd been documenting everything: the fines, the emails, the recorded calls, even her little nighttime paparazzi tour. Then there was the HOA budget spreadsheet she accidentally sent me months ago. The one that showed thousands of dollars in miscellaneous expenses. Under her name, fraud, embezzlement, all there in black and white. I built my case like a fortress. Then I pulled the trigger. First, I sent Karen a formal notice. Cease and desist, or I go public. Her response? Single email. You wouldn't dare. Oh, Karen. I did more than dare. I detonated. I uploaded everything. Get screenshots, spreadsheets. Videos de whole rotten impuriento, the neighborhood Facebook group. Within 2 hours, it had more comments than the HOA had rules. Are you kidding me? She stole our money. I want every cent back. By morning, Karen's phone was blowing up like a 4th of July fireworks show. Neighbors pounding on her door, demands for an emergency board meeting, calls for a full audit, and then da-da-da. Police showed up. I stood on my porch, coffee steaming in the cold morning air, as 2 officers escorted Karen H., a Queen Karen, down her perfect driveway in handcuffs. Rain was falling just enough to make it cinematic, police lights flashing red and blue across her once pristine hydrangeas. She glared at me through the back window of the cruiser, face twisted in rage, mascara streaking like war paint. I smiled, raised my mug, gave her a little toast. By the next HOA meeting, Karen was history gone. The board dissolved, and my lake. Still mine. No fines, no harassment, just peace. Well, except for one tiny detail. Remember those raised fees? I didn't repeal them, because if Karen taught me anything, it's this. Power only matters when you know how to use it. So now, every HOA member pays an extra $5,000 a year. Well, you know where that money goes? A brand new dock? Private boat? And the sweetest irony of all, a massive, glowing sign at the water's edge that reads private property, nitrogen monoxide, swimming, HOA members prohibited. Karen.